We need a revolution. We need a revolution. System ain't gon' change unless we get what? Black power. We need a revolution. We need a revolution. System ain't gon' change unless you make it. Brown power. We need a revolution. We need a revolution. System ain't gon' where you at unless you make it. Got a cure for AIDS and cancer. Wanna know? Confinement, diabetes and sickle cell, even mad cat. Wanna know how? I can stop this cop from killing. I can feed these hungry children. I can stop racism, a product of capitalism. I can unpack the prison, turn religion back to we live in. I can stop the blood from peeling, cancer from peeling back. I can get your cousin off crack. I can stop the war in the black hood. Get the money right back to the pole for sure. Hey, women don't let me know. Let's go. Women know. I wanna know. We need a real solution. Motherfuck that constitution. RBG's off in this thing. They hip to the game. Get it off the chain. The system ain't gon' change unless you make it. You say. We need a revolution. We need a revolution. The system ain't gon' change unless we make it change. You say. We need a revolution. Say. We need a revolution. The system ain't gon' change unless you make it change.
And that's real.
The system ain't gonna change unless you make it change.
I don't care. You can vote for 300 Barack Obamas. And that shit ain't gonna change unless all the people make it change. You heard? And John McCain might not even live long enough for the election. So you ain't got to worry about that one.
We ain't vote our way in this motherfucking shit, and we ain't gonna vote our way out this shit.
You heard?
So you organize. You go on ahead, go to your communities, you organize for power. That's the only thing that's gonna change anything when we get some power. You know what I mean?
That's what it
and
takes. Evenly distributed. Not just power, but evenly distributed.
Not
you heard?
just,
hey,
not just these dudes surrounding us.
But,
real power.
Yeah, man, like we said, ain't no intimidation to this shit right here, man.
Y'all just tore it down over here for the audience. Give thanks. Talk a little bit about what's going on with Dead Prez.
I mean, basically, we out here in support of the people who want to rise up, take our rights back, and people who realistically at this point then had it up to here and don't want to take no more. You know what I mean? So we're tired of answers that don't answer, conclusions that don't conclude, questions that aren't really questions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what time it is right now. So there's a mob of people out there, hopefully, who got energized by some of the stuff that we've been putting out for years, and really preparing them for the next installment of what Dead Prez has been incubating, and just trying to feed off that energy. So it's a beautiful experience.
Saying pimping the system is definitely the movement right now. It's like we got to get over before we go under. And, you know, the system is set up to pimp us. So when we talking about pimping the system, we talking about being innovative, having networks, taking advantage of every opportunity, but in the interest of our people and our power and our movement. So, you know, pimp it all day. No love. I'm cold as ice. I'm cold like a pimp on the motherfuckers.
It's time for us to build. I think that's the forefront of what's really going to be the cutting edge of what people have to say right now. You even got people like Young Jeezy, who used to be in the trap, but now you're talking about a recession.
Right.
You know, you got Nas, who's trying to wonder, niggas ain't ready to have a black president, or are we? And it's a beautiful question to be asked, because it's a beautiful answer waiting underneath all of this. But I see power in the hands of the people is the only real solution,
right.
And that's why we're here on set, on front line. You know what I'm saying? Dead President it up. Dead President it up. No matter who in office. No matter who's in office, Dead
Yeah,
Prez.
what you think about who's coming by? Who might be in office? I know you repping Green Party. And
well, don't put it out there like that now.
All right.
I ain't repping the Green Party.
Okay.
I ain't
so
repping the Green Party. What I'm saying is molding choices A and B out here. And my solution has always been revolution. But what I do have to say is people would have you believe that the only two choices we have are really some of the most conservative, head of imperialism choices that are on that for the world.
Okay.
Is these solutions that have led the whole world to outcast where we live right now. I'm not an American, but I live on U.S. soil, and we've been basically outcasted by the rest of the world because of the policies that are going in the U.S. And there's certain people who ain't with that, and those people who should be in power are the revolutionaries, the one who they throw in the dungeons for 30 years. People like Sundiata Acoli,
right.
who they exile like Assata Shakur, and who they never want to bring up their name, because that's going to bring real truth and justice to this whole conversation. And that's not what's on the ballot at all. So therefore, I'm not voting.
I'm just saying, whenever the system is the one that's presenting us with the choices, then there's really no choice at all, because they got a contingency plan for either or. If McCain get in there, they got a certain Republican strategy of how they could keep white power going. Okay. If Obama get in there, they got a smooth black man Democratic strategy of how they could keep white power going. It ain't nothing disrespectful to Obama as a man with a black family and all the good things about him that people appeal to his yeah, they're excited about. He's charismatic, yes. A humble person, and even has a few good ideas. But his regime that he's trying to put in place is flocked by a whole lot of people who have the same interests, and their interest is continuing the same white power agenda as before.
And the wool that's being pulled over people's eyes is that that this is some sort of anti-war faction that the Democratic that's on the Democratic platform. I think a lot of times people are not familiar with what the platform of the Democratic Party is, what policies people want to enact and bring into office. So when we hear Biden say, yes, we always were talking about pulling troops out of Iraq, but he says we always were into sending troops to Afghanistan. Yes. He never said we were into ending the aggression in the Middle East. He said no, we were for sending troops. We just say Bush sent them to the wrong place, and they start talking about they're going to chase terror to the end of the globe when nobody has really began to admit that America is the real terrorist. This has never been. It's never been terrorism. It's never happened.
They created.
Never happened. Right. And so I think when you start talking about that, it's double talk. I think people are caught up in emotionalism versus the
critical thinking.
Because they're gonna they trying to send, and of course I would never go, but they're gonna send my black ass to that war, to Afghanistan. They're gonna send my black ass over to create, and it's still yeah. Nobody ever brought up the fact that it's an aggression for oil. And even in Afghanistan, it's an aggression for oil. Yeah, they never talked about who's going to benefit from these particular things, and that is what's next. That's what's up next under the black man.
And I want to ask this question to the people, just for critical, thinking. Sure. Why is Israel and America so tight homeboys?
Have been.
You know what I mean? Like, why?
Always will be.
Like, why is that? What's the history to that? Why is in that hostile area? What makes Israel the righteous, heaven, and everybody around that, the enemy? You know what I mean? Israel is bombing motherfuckers like anybody else is bombing motherfuckers. So what stake does America have with Israel that's above all and everything? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to learn from the people. I want to, you know what I mean? And people should be asking that question.
Without an abundance of political activity, we pretty much we're bankrupt. Think we're dry. The ground is dry. With a simple spark, you can set a flame, especially on dry grass in the wildfire in the prairie, and that's what we're looking at right now. So, but what we have to do to create the spark has to be intensive. It has to be an intensive education about what we can do. It has to be garnished by the moment, by time, because our time constraints are small here, and we also have to use ingenuity and creativity. For instance, we might not be able to rub two sticks together the way we used to. We might not be able to hit the flint rocks together. We might have to, somebody got a blunt. Like, put your blunt to the ground and light it up, because that's just what it is right now. Because that's where the fire is coming from. So whatever you have, let's spark the flame. That's what it is right now.